This is the latest on the operation of Oliver. Hey, thanks for joining us on YouTube. What are you doing here? Oh, across the land, and my stick is shot at hand. Hi everybody, I'm Brian Adams, and this is the Operation of Oliver Part 25. So let's get right to it, shall we? Let's take a look. Okay, so this is what I want to change up a little bit. See how this is how I have his foot, and there's a couple things I want to change. See how this is. I'm pretty happy with that, although there should be a little bit more of an arch there, but I didn't put that there and on the bottom. But what there should be, see, I have the stick right here behind here. I'm using this as a guide to be able to show you what I want to do. I'm going to actually build up the foot because it actually should be built up like that. So I'm going to start putting epoxy across from here up so that this builds up this part of the foot. And the other thing I don't like, that I know the bone protrudes out on one side of the foot, but the top is a little bit too bold for me. And since I have a lot of room, I'm actually going to be filing down the outside so it looks more the way it should. Here's the epoxy applied to kind of build it up. You get an idea there, a visual. Okay, so here we go. Now I have a build up the epoxy on both sides, here and here on both feet. You can see more of the shape here. See how the shape of the feet contour around more. And it comes down like that, and it builds out to the back side here, which I'm going to shave it down a little bit because I'm not really happy with that completely. It is rough right now on the epoxy, but that's okay. And the reason that I want to leave it rough a lot of times is because if I want to add more epoxy, it's easier and better if the epoxy has something rougher rather than smooth to grab onto. It makes a better you know, adherence to one another, and then when I sand it, it's not that big a deal anyway. So there we are so far. This, I wasn't sure where I left off last time. This is the leg. Both of them look the same. I've actually built it up where the knee guard is. You can see the kind of the shape of the way the leg is. There's the back part of the leg. And also I'm building up just this part inside of the leg, just a little lip there. Give a little bit less space between here and there, so that if it has clothing, it doesn't drag. And I am basically just smoothing it out so I can get these legs ready to be finished. Hey, it is another nighttime shot. Okay, so now I have actually given them a little bit of a coat on just one side, on the lower part of the leg, just on this one here, and then we'll turn them over and do the same on the opposite side, and kind of, there's the feet again that you just saw a minute ago with a little bit of a coat. Okay, and so now what I'm doing is I'm putting a coat on this part here so that I can sand it smooth. The other side looked like this a little while ago, or a few hours ago, 8 hours ago I should say, and now this side looks like this. I'm going to do the same with the opposite side, and I'm working my way up, and so we can get it all smoothing out. So now it's my favorite fun time. This is the drywall sandpaper that I usually use, and see how I kind of roll with it a little bit, go with the shape, and apply pressure in just certain areas. This is probably the least favorite thing you'll do when you're making a caricature, but it pays off in the end. And like I said, here's that part. I'm going to sand down a little bit right here. So I wanted to bring that down. And I'm getting right in here on the back part. What I'm doing is basically trying to bring everything level. But I'm going to get the darker marks. I probably explained in other videos, the darker marks are where it's lower. The lighter marks is where it's higher. And make sure you don't sand away anything that you want, so you don't have to keep putting more epoxy on it. Like I said, this is for final sanding, but there might always be little parts that little nicks and things that you want to fill in, that you might go, hey, that's right where I want it to be, that's where I want it to look like, let me just fill in this part, or just fill in this or this. But sand down everything first, and then go from there. Because you might change your mind afterwards. And even another thing too, say maybe these bolts are too big. I got plugs to go in there. These bolts are not allowing the plug to go in where I want them to go. I could take these out, put smaller bolts in there. They don't have to be that big. And one of the other things that I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you can see that in the lighting. See, this is the area I want to be, and see this how it's a little bit higher. So I can sand it forever, or what I could do sometimes, it's always good to get a X-Acto knife blade that's a little dull, you know, like dull it out, cut other things, but then you can always go like this and cut this down. So you're not sanding as much. See how that takes it off? Actually, it's saved quite a bit of time, probably about a half hour or more of sanding. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see this. Okay, so I built some epoxy, and here's what the foot looked like after I sanded it. See the detail, see the little dips in there that I was talking about. And then actually I've taken the epoxy and I've gone over this foot. I haven't done this one yet, but I went over the whole entire foot and I filled in basically almost a light coat over the whole thing, filling in wherever there were dips, any flaws, anything that I wanted to change about that I didn't like. And I'm holding this gingerly because it is wet. You'll probably see some of the epoxy coming out there. I'll have to straighten that up. And I got it just about where I want it to perfection, where it will be just a light sanding. And I'm going to do the next step to this, like this, to this foot. Just remember that when you're doing this, we want to make this as perfect as possible because people are actually going to be looking at this. Is heading toward the finished product, just like I did with the face. Okay. Okay, so there you go. There's the second foot. It looks a little wetter than this one, doesn't it? Anyway, there it is. That one's been coated. The epoxy's been used. And I'm now working on this knee here because I had extra epoxy made over. You can kind of see the wet part from the dry part, kind of building that up. Hey, so that's what's going on with Oliver right now. We're plowing away with him. If you like what you saw today, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. So long, everybody.